Hello, I hope all is progressing well. Welcome to I Don't Know. We Can Talk About It, where we discuss myriads of topics civilly, reasonably, and responsibly. My name is Kevin Dufresne. Our first topic is about an approach to new basics, more so as a terminology than practicality. Though I say so because much of what the new basics considers is already in process, though seemingly an attempt to bridge education to a standard of which individuals may adhere to grow in preparation for a career, for realms of careers. Though I want to make sure to address the areas of which the new basics seem to cover are areas of which have much depth. Considering collaboration, for instance, one may think of how one may collaborate, and one may think of how industries differ, careers differ, jobs differ, and how one may approach a job will differ. The context of the new basics concerns many variables, even considering how one may obtain many degrees of which many jobs, which many hiring entities may appreciate, may be seeking due to knowledge bases which the degrees may connect to, which the individuals with the degrees may be connecting to in some way personally that is apparent. The other area of import is entities hiring may already be implementing training programs, so may be seeking individuals simply with an open mind that prove able to work for a period of hours, not to dismiss the reality of an understanding individuals are in an educational environment for so many hours being practical so as to be ready to be in another space of a career capacity, of a job capacity, being practical with the training of which the hiring entity may provide. Skills are extremely valuable. Transferable skills will always be key for a hiring entity to assess. Transferable skills are skills that work effectively from one industry to another, from one entity to another entity. Example, if an individual is really good with planting trees and working in agriculture, which mentioning that even brings up a broad range of possible skills, any of those skills will be effective with any other industry, any other entity, any other atmosphere requiring skills of someone that may plant trees well, that is able to use certain parameters of agriculture extremely well. So transferable skills may be extremely useful within connecting industries. Even more so, certain transferable skills work across industries. Being literate in a general sense, being able to read and write, being able to use a computer, being able to use particular software aside from a particular type of computer may be extremely transferable, and the reality is, when an individual goes to college, one is able to navigate, particularly more so than prior to college, especially considering how entities prior to college may vary. Being able to offer flexibility to individuals in an educational atmosphere will prove greatly for an individual's future, more so than one may realize if one is unaware of how valuable transferable skills are, if one is unaware of how valuable everything else that does not necessarily pertain to a test result may be. I mentioned so because in the article, test results become a part of a conversation. I mentioned test results specifically because I do feel as though parameters of preparation for a test or an assignment to succeed may be extremely valuable in assisting one with other parameters connecting with transferable skills. Though I do feel as though test results may not prove accurately of one's ability, of one's potential, especially considering tools of engagement are varying now. AI might be interesting, seemingly novel, though parameters of AI are connecting with parameters of what already is, what already exists, though an additional option. And I feel as though being able to engage with the reality of expanding possibilities of what is really, really important, valuable, assessing the whole person may prove greatly for individuals long term. One idea to think about is when individuals graduate from a university may be seeking to have individuals donate, be active participants in giving back, if one will, giving forward, if one will, so as to be able to engage with other progressions. An alumni base is important, and being able to cater to understanding how long-term progressions may be, depending on how one is assisting individuals with growth, may prove valuable. Not to say seek the return, though seek to ensure one is able to thrive, to succeed beyond an educational environment, so that one has the tools, the resources, the understanding of how to navigate parameters successfully with appreciation of one's upbringing, with gratefulness of what one has access to, which is greatly helpful to one's life moving forward. So I like to consider education, especially with the awareness of educational criterion, with the understanding that an educational environment must be in tune with what is progressing outside of an educational environment. And when an educational environment is in tune with what's happening outside the educational environment, then all entities connecting with the educational environment need to be on board, meaning funding needs to be ready with minds behind offering funding or programming funding opportunities, thinking, in the day and age that we're living in, for example, many companies are moving to change infrastructure, support technology in connection with artificial intelligence. So with that clear understanding of progressions technologically, then educational environments external to the programming, external to the funding parameters, may feel more confident, may feel more of an assurance that entities at work are considering what is going on external to an educational environment in the world progressing, so may be considering how an educational environment, respective to what is external to it, may progress with certain parameters of funding, which includes assessing how business in a particular area may be progressing, understanding how business may be connecting even beyond the local area, since businesses do tend to extend beyond borders. So, with much consideration from local to extending beyond local parameters, the connecting network of what really is growing the future, whether that growth be good for a particular locale or extending beyond the locale, the connective network is in balance with not only a silo effort, though with a truly connective effort, which will allow for optimal growth. Even more so, when such connective efforts truly have good, strong rooting, especially within themselves, then the externalities of funding may prove to be operating differently, even seemingly more affordably for all entities partnering. All right, our next topic is about EdTech. Educational technology is wonderful to have when everyone is able to access the technology. Now, accessing technology is not only of individuals with different abilities and different needs, it's really about also how one may access what one is finding in use in an educational environment. Even individuals without a need for reading assistance, for listening assistance, may find utility assistance is most necessary. Even with a resource available to use, an individual has to engage with other parameters of EdTech, which might allow for one to engage with how one is assessing one's ability. One may need assistance using technology particularly. Technological training is not new. So if, for example, an individual is entering an educational environment, a particular system is in use, training may be necessary for that particular technology because one might not be familiar with using technology in such a way. For example, if an individual has a cell phone as an access point to software in connection with educational technology, then one may use the cell phone with an understanding that a cell phone is good for whatever one finds a cell phone good for, aside from the educational parameters. Then after going through training, one may find, okay, when I have to do work, I have to assess how to use my cell phone with this educational parameter so as to be successful in education, though the purpose of the cell phone prior might be to engage with whatever one finds interested in engaging with, which may prove challenging with educational technology, which is not wholly in connection with educational parameters. Considering how educational technology needs to be accessible, one may assess how an educational environment may provide for any individual seeking, in need of, particular parameters of educational technology. If an educational environment is not able to afford providing the appropriate resources, then one may be able to assess whether using the technology is truly beneficial, and if the technology is not accessible to everyone, one may assess how an educational environment is approaching bringing in individuals seeking an education, seeking growth in the best ways possible. And I feel as though assessing the possibilities of which the article discusses really brings to light how one is assessing one's student population as well as one's employee population, because not only are students going to be in need of educational technological trainings. So I think being able to assess appropriately what resources an educational environment has to offer option-wise is only a part of the conversation with what is an educational environment attempting to do with such resources, especially if in case individuals are simply not aware of how to approach the educational technological parameters, which does not dismiss the reality that perhaps using technology prior, effective for all individuals, considering different abilities, different understandings, may simply be the pathway necessary to ensure individuals will attain success, attain understanding, without hindrance, without confusion, especially if one may succeed with prior technology like pen and paper, notebook, taking notes, in lieu of having to figure out technological parameters that might be confounding with an individual's current understandings of technological parameters. All right, let's do some origami. Now, today we're going to be making an origami cow face. So I'm going to take this squarish paper. We're just going to fold it in half, edge to edge, so we'll have some squares. And then from here, we're actually going to fold up a little bit, or just a little bit, like about a third in here on this front part. And from here, we're going to fold it in. Okay. So after we fold in, just fold in. We can fold in one side at a time if you like. After we fold in, you'll see the back as so. Okay. All right. Fold it so that this back portion is actually open. So you'll see it more the opposite right here. Similarly, go with that portion open. You want to have the lip, this lip part, on the exterior of this origami forming. Next, what we're going to do here is we're going to fold the bottom down. So with that, we're just going to take each one. We're going to just fold in these top corners. Okay, so we fold in this top corner as so. Do the same thing for the other side. Fold it top corner down right here. There's a trick here we're going to do to skip a few steps that you're going to notice in the instructions, which you may find in the summary of the YouTube channel. We're going to actually just open this up completely. So the instructions will say to apply another fold in here. What's gonna happen though is when you apply this fold in, you're already gonna bring yourself to the next step of the cow. So what I'm gonna say is right from here, you can literally just open this up like so. You can literally, so what I'm doing is I'm just gonna open this up and I'm just gonna bend it out so that the triangles are gonna be somewhat parallel. Okay, so when we come here, what I'm gonna do is, and just to give you an idea, I'm gonna open it so the triangles are flat and basically easy to comprehend as triangles. So I fold in, I fold in, I fold in here. And once I get it down, there we go. There we go. You can see, and it doesn't have to be perfect, you know, it's kind of cool to have some character to the ears. As you can see now, I just fold it down and I get this fold here on the back. The next step is to fold in these corners, right? So we're gonna fold in these corners here. Don't fold it too much, just fold it so you're gonna fold it so it meets the lip. You don't wanna fold it beyond the lip. So once you fold it to meet that lip part here, you see, just that part. You don't wanna fold it up here. So you just fold it right there. Okay. Voila. So now you have your cow face structure. Then if you have a pen or marker, crayon, whatever you want to use, you can literally just decorate it how you feel you want to decorate it. And just to give a nice idea of it, you can really get into making this cow face your own here, however you so choose. I'm going to even add some elements to the ears here, and voila, as you can see, you have your cow face. So this is a really interesting style of origami because making these faces, the shapes of them, can offer a little bit of a different flexibility. And instead of making a full-on cow, you have a cow face, which you can use for your own enjoyment. All right. Our next topic is about reading a physical book. In connection with reading a physical book, reading physical books are extremely beneficial for one's health, and I champion reading physical books, all in connection with spatial development, science longer than most, if not all, people alive today. The book we're going to be talking about is important, discussing context of how women may approach parameters of sexual realms. Even more so, Dr. Amie Harwick goes through a very challenging experience in her journey dating, and that's really what this portion will be about, because the book is approaching how women may be able to better engage in being more self-aware of what may be going on, not only alone, though in connection with a romantic life partner. And to find out, the author, Dr. Amie Harwick, experiences a tragedy because of an ex that is going through some type of situation, is really what I focus on when reading the book, because she writes such a useful book for improving relationships, for being able to connect with relevant research that may assist individuals with being more aware. Yes, the book is trying to look for women by the title, but the text is covering for individuals that care about how these progressions happen, how these progressions may be. The text is not only concerning the physical, though of course addressing the psycho, biological, social parameters in connection with one's being. And the author experiences a tragedy. The author's ex is a reason for the author not being alive today. And I really want to make sure to address how understanding parameters of the psychosocial biological realms are so important, because of allowing for individuals to approach with an open mind what possibilities may be in different scientific good ways. So one may find good pleasure, good hedonism in one's life, in healthful progressions, without finding any conflictions of confusion that may be within oneself. And I say so because being able to acknowledge such parameters is actually of propriety, natural to understand, natural to discuss, being so apparent in our everyday lives through families, through medical realities, that to ignore such parameters is actually potentially part of why any might feel conflict within oneself, because of not engaging with such parameters in a healthful progression, like learning through books and exploring through research available by people that go to school to research this information to share, so as to better improve health long term for humanity. So I'm very grateful for the context of the book. The book obviously engages with parameters that may allow for relationships to blossom, to improve. If one is not already doing so, one may find some beneficial tips. Of course, more research is going to be valuable to the possibilities of the future. And again, I really want to touch on the happening of Dr. Amie Harwick, because books of the sort do exist that are as helpful as the book, as insightful as the book. I just want to make sure individuals are aware of the other part of the conversation of becoming more mindful of such parameters, so as to be more mindful in one's relationships, how one is by oneself, to assess one's being, how one might be growing in respect to what one cares about, to be in safe relationships, to be in healthy relationships, growing healthfully, because no one deserves to be of abusive parameters. And I say so, meaning no one, because abusive parameters may extend beyond. And at the same time, one that is fully aware of abusive parameters may actually be the stopping point instead of a continuing point of abusive parameters. So being mindful of oneself, being mindful of how one may grow healthily, being mindful how one may approach healthful progressions in one's life may really allow for one to experience true joy, true happiness of the social parameters, of the psychosocial parameters. And I really, really want individuals to be aware of the benefits of healthful research, especially considering that we do live in an ever-progressing interdependent reality. And as far as I know, everyone has one life. So better to know of life in the best ways possible than to suffer tragedy due to negligence of healthful progressions. Thanks for joining. I don't know. We can talk about it. Onward and Upward, Kevin Dufresne.